Hi there, everyone. Here's some of what's heading your way tonight. Your news at 9. A stressful time right now for people in Carterville, Missouri, without water in their homes and no solution ready to go. Plus, some left behind warm clothes are coming in really handy during these cold temperatures.
Winter weather has caused local health departments to push back coronavirus vaccine clinics. I'm Zach Dodge with what happens now that we're starting to thaw out. Coming up.
Doug Heddy has weather. Jacob Leonard has sports. This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Albee. No timeline yet of when people in Carterville, Missouri are going to have tap water again. The Carterville police chief says the city lost water because a pump failed, which is being replaced right now. A well company is also trying to pull the well shaft from the city's well, but they don't know how long that's going to take.
We've had more calls than we can probably handle about people wanting to help come and distribute the water. The biggest thing we need to do is to let people know we have the water here available and to contact us or come by and pick it up.
City is giving out free cases of water on a 2 packs per household basis. Residents can pick those up at the fire station. Elderly residents can request a delivery. City of Columbus, Kansas is asking residents there to check their properties for any water leaks. City officials say they're going through their water supply quickly, which more than likely means there's one or more leaks in the system. Anyone who sees even a potential leak is being asked to call the city immediately. Liberty Utilities says conservation efforts by its customers are working. The company announced today the Southwest Power Pool is no longer under an emergency alert, meaning they are not dealing with any service interruptions and don't anticipate more at this time. However, their peak advisory will still be in effect until noon tomorrow, so customers are still being asked to conserve energy to maintain stability. Same goes for Spire. Spire is also thanking customers for helping reduce the stress on their system. The natural gas company is lifting its emergency curtailment plan for all business customers in Southwest Missouri, but they suggest continuing certain strategies to keep energy bills low. Well, if you've ever moved before and used Jomo Moving, you may have helped people in need this winter. Turns out there are coats left behind when people move, and Jomo Moving collected those coats. They've been available for free at Jomo Moving sister company, Jomo Bazaar.
Yes, I mean throughout the cold snap, just until it runs out. We're getting pretty scarce in the warehouse as far as winter type clothing. Unless people donate, it's going to be there till we run out.
Jomo Bazaar is at 1504 East 32nd Street in Joplin. Doug Heddy joining us now with the first look at the forecast. 2 things on 2 different fronts. See what I did there? Pun intended. Okay, we both are dads. We understand each other. I was kind of excited for this snow, but now, it's kind of outstayed its welcome. It's time for it to go.
Yeah, I get that. I love snow. I love to forecast snow. I love to watch snow. But once it's here, like now, and it's just cold and it's not going to snow anymore, yeah, I'm ready to see the grass again. So that's what I'm kind of looking forward to. You're not going to tonight because it's going to be cold once again. We started today at 9 up to 23, but still our average high is 52 degrees. We do have pretty much clear skies. I do think we're going to get some fog building in tonight. So if you are going to be out, even though most of the roads are in pretty good shape, the visibilities will drop just due to that patchy fog. And that's all due to the moisture that is sitting on the ground right now. Temperatures, they're cold. Most of us 10 to about 13 degrees, and we're going to plummet later on tonight. It's going to be colder than what we've seen over the past 2 nights. Wind chill, at least we don't have to worry about that, but our actual temperature down to about 3 by morning, so keep the faucets dripping, but at least we make it up near freezing for us tomorrow. And of course, we're going to look at the weekend here in a bit.
Doug, thank you. There are now at least 30 deaths being blamed on the massive winter storm creating chaos from Oregon to New England, but Texas remains the hardest hit state. Fox News correspondent Casey Stiegel has more from Dallas.
All the power is out. People are just trying to stay warm.
It's becoming a familiar complaint here in Texas. Day 4 of a record-breaking cold spell brought on by a massive winter storm. It settled over the central U.S. after hitting the west, and the Lone Star State has bore the brunt of the power outages. The good news, the number of customers in the dark dropping significantly from more than 3 million on Wednesday morning to about 500,000 on Thursday. An investigation is underway, but officials with the state power grid say that the system was simply overwhelmed by frozen equipment.
I don't think there is a capacity shortage. It was a problem with that capacity being knocked out by an extraordinary event.
Officials are now warning Texans to be prepared for what they call disasters within a disaster. Lots of reports of long lines at grocery stores, food banks, and water distribution sites, many shelves empty. And all of the Houston metro area and Austin are now under mandatory boil water advisories.
I stocked up on some food and thought that wouldn't be an issue. But now I realize, like, anything I stocked up to make, I have to use water to kind of cook.
Parts of Texas will get more snow on Thursday, but the storm system is heading east.
A lot of things, the good news is, will remain open. Vaccine sites will remain open. Testing sites will remain open. Food distribution sites will remain open.
Here in Texas, it is expected to gradually get warmer over the next couple of days. By late next week, we'll be in the upper 60s. That's the latest from Dallas. Casey Stiegel, Fox News.
And that's something. The winter weather forces a postponement of coronavirus vaccine clinics. Some of our local health departments are canceling or rescheduling those clinics because of the weather. KOAM's Zach Dodge has what it takes to get everything back on track.
Almost 2 weeks of ice, snow, and below freezing temperatures have impacted local health departments' ability to hold coronavirus vaccine clinics.
The weather certainly has not been cooperative.
The Joplin Health Department had to cancel a clinic that would have gotten second doses of vaccine to 1,000 residents. And the Newton County Health Department had to cancel 2 clinics that would have gotten initial doses to 200 residents. Those appointments have been rescheduled, but it required doing a lot of work all over again.
When you've had to do that one time and then now we have to go back and do it, of course that takes time away, but we're just trying to split our duties.
Administrator Larry Bergner says they were able to get most people rescheduled, and if they weren't able to get a hold of someone,
they then get moved to the front of the line for the very next clinic that happens.
We had a lot of older individuals that was scheduled, and so a lot of them were actually worried that they were just going to miss their appointment because they weren't going to be able to make it in anyway. So a lot of them actually have been pretty thankful that we rescheduled.
Nursing supervisor Renee Bond says it can be frustrating to have the vaccines and not be able to use them yet, but they're working to get them into arms as quickly as possible.
Hopefully we'll get pretty busy with vaccines because that's what we need right now to take care of this. So.
In Neosho, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
The next vaccine clinic in Newton County is scheduled for Tuesday. Jasper County Health Department reports 5 more deaths being attributed to COVID-19. Patients were 4 males, 2 in their 50s and 60s, 2 in their 70s, also a female in her 80s. This brings the total death count to 138. Drug manufacturers are looking to update coronavirus vaccines as new variants spread, and some health experts believe we could see yearly COVID shots. Fox News correspondent Jonathan Siri has more.
We're about a week away from an FDA advisory committee's meeting to review Johnson & Johnson's one-shot vaccine. Though White House officials say the candidate could one day become a 2-dose vaccine.
Johnson & Johnson, people may know, is currently evaluating whether and how their vaccine performs with 2 doses.
The White House COVID response team says Pfizer and Moderna are also making plans to either update or add a booster shot to their vaccines. Pfizer reporting the South African strain reduced antibody protection by more than 60% in a recent study. Dr. Anthony Fauci says scaling up production of a new formula could take several months.
We're already, for example, working with the Moderna company. We're working with them to get a sample of the vaccine that you can actually have it code for the protein that's the appropriate protein for the South African isolate.
Both Pfizer's and Moderna's vaccines appear effective against the UK variant. The CDC says more than 1,200 cases of that strain have been reported across 42 states. But if other variants develop, some health experts say we could see annual COVID booster shots.
There's sort of a growing consensus among, virologists, epidemiologists that the virus will eventually still be here with us.
The CDC says the UK variant could become the dominant strain in the U.S. by the end of March. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time to honor one of our four-state heroes. Otto Hodge served in this Army from 1952 to 56. He earned several awards. We are proud to thank Private First Class Otto Hodge, tonight's four-state hero. Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast later. Girls wrestling is gaining momentum in Columbus in both numbers and success. Gonna have this story in sports.
Well, of course, another cold day for us today, but at least we got the sunshine across the region, so we did melt off a couple more inches of snow. I actually just replied to an email. Somebody wanted to know, how do we melt snow when it's below freezing? But the sun is so powerful. It's just like kind of in the summer, it can be 90 degrees, but the pavement can be 120 degrees because the ground actually holds heat. So that's why we are melting snow, even though we are only up to 23 degrees, but we don't melt snow at night because we don't have that sun. But we're going to be melting a lot of snow over the next few days as temperatures start to warm up, just not tonight because it's going to be super cold. So cold night ahead, a little bit of patchy fog, near freezing tomorrow, which is great, and then rain chances on Sunday. Of course, you can always get my month-long forecast on my month-long blog, KOAMnewsnow.com. Looking back so far this month, we went into the deep freeze on February 6th. That Saturday night before the Super Bowl. You can see we decreased all last week all the way down to Monday, and then we are now starting to go back uphill slowly, but we will get there as we go through the next several days. Temperatures right now, they're cold, 10 to about 13, 14, 15 degrees, but everybody will drop back into the single digits once again as we go through the overnight hours. Pretty much clear skies, a little bit of patchy fog is going to roll in for us, especially after midnight, so watch out for that. That is due to the moisture that is on the ground. But besides that, once we get rid of this trough right across the Central Plains, all the Arctic air is going to retreat, and then we look pretty good, at least temperature-wise, over the next several days. Next storm system pulling into the Pacific Northwest, which will start to affect us by Sunday. Super cold tonight, patchy fog, burns off. We warm up near freezing tomorrow. We're going to make a real run at it. 2 to start, 24 by noon, and then a high temp of 32 degrees. Tomorrow night, we drop back into the teens, so not as cold, and then Saturday looks pretty good. Partly sunny, high temp presses 40 degrees. So tomorrow and Saturday, we do most of the melting, and then by Sunday, most of this will be gone. But rain chances return as we go into Sunday. These are going to be scattered showers across the region, may mix in with a few flakes of snow, and then we'll cool back down as we head into Monday. So if we look at next week and the next several weeks, Sunday and Monday are going to be cool. You can see the light blue days. Those are cool days. The dark blue are cold days. When I say cold, I'm talking about highs in the 30s or lower. So we warm up next Tuesday, and then we cool back down with our storm system. Rain and snow chances next Wednesday into Thursday. And then we stay kind of cool all the way through almost the middle of March. And then we start to moderate things by the middle of March. 32 tomorrow. Let's go 40 on Saturday, 41 on Sunday, 49 Monday, 58 on Tuesday. So a big warm up, and then we cool back down on Wednesday and Thursday.
Thanks for defining what you mean by colds, in the immediate future, because when you experience 15 below,
yeah,
I mean, that's cold.
You think
yeah,
32 is pretty good, but I still consider 32 cold.
No kidding. Doug, thanks so much.
Yep.
Coming up, looking back on something that took many investors by surprise.
Congress gets a crack at the key players in the GameStop trading frenzy. I'm Caroline Shively. I'll have details straight ahead.
Today, Congress got its chance to grill CEOs and key players involved in last month's GameStop mania. In January, the company's stock price fluctuated wildly, fueling a battle between professional and amateur investors. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively is in D.C. with details on today's hearing and what comes next.
A fight between institutional investors and amateur traders over the video game retailer GameStop last month has spilled over into Congress. On Thursday, a House committee quizzed the players in this drama in a virtual and sometimes testy hearing.
You're evading my question.
The hearing centers around the trading frenzy involving GameStop, but it has a bigger question. Are the U.S. financial markets fundamentally fair to all investors?
Many Americans feel that the system is stacked against them, and no matter what, Wall Street always wins.
Here's how the GameStop debacle went down. In January, hedge funds shorted the stock, betting that the troubled company would fall even further. That made individual investors on Reddit angry, and they started snapping up the stock, sending its price soaring, the opposite of what those short-selling institutional investors wanted. Add into that, Robinhood, the company that many of those individuals used to make their trades, shut down their ability to buy, explaining later they were concerned they wouldn't have enough money to cover it.
You seem to reserve the right to make up the rules as you go along.
I'm not going to say that Robinhood did everything perfect.
Now the debate is whether to get the government more involved or leave it to the free market.
Americans are far more sophisticated, informed, and capable than folks in D.C. give them credit for.
It's not over yet. This is just the first of at least 3 congressional hearings aimed at finding out what went wrong. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Just ahead, Mark, something else down in those history books.
The CDC says the pandemic is causing life expectancy to drop. I'm Ashley Strohmeyer with a look at the report coming up.
Another effect of the pandemic, overall life expectancy in the U.S. Preliminary data from 2020 shows COVID-19 is causing a significant decline in how long the average American will live. Fox News correspondent Ashley Strohmeyer has the report and which groups are being hit the hardest.
Overall life expectancy in the U.S. has dropped by 1 year. A report by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention utilized partial records from the first half of last year. In 2019, life expectancy was just under 79 years. Factoring in 2020's data, officials say it dropped to a little under 78 years. Authorities are primarily crediting the pandemic for the decrease and expect the rates to continue going down once 2020 data collection is complete.
What is really quite striking in these numbers is that they only reflect the first half of the year, and it doesn't really reflect the full brunt of the pandemic.
Researchers found life expectancy did not fall evenly across the board. Rates for blacks declined by roughly 3 years and by 2 years for Hispanics.
They are oftentimes in frontline, front-facing work, oftentimes low-wage work without the additional resources to protect themselves.
Others note life expectancy has always been disproportionate.
The racial inequities that we see in coronavirus are really characteristic of the racial inequities that we see in many diseases.
As the U.S. tries to reach herd immunity and combat the pandemic in 2021, health officials have declared 2020 the deadliest year in U.S. history, with more than 3 million deaths recorded nationwide. Ashley Strohmeyer, Fox News.
All right, after this break, go check out some new research that shows people who are sleeping can respond to communication. Have you ever heard someone talk in their sleep? I'm thinking of one of my sons right now. Dylan does this. Turns out you may be able to communicate with that person in real time, even when they're dreaming. Experts from Northwestern University, France, Germany, and the Netherlands conducted separate experiments, and scientists found people having lucid dreams could follow instructions to do simple mathematical equations and answer yes/no questions. They also found they responded to sensory stimulation, including touching, beeping noises, and flashing lights. Here's hoping in my case I'm better at those mathematical equations when I'm sleeping than when I'm awake. Goodness. It's my shortcoming. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming your way.
Besides their regular duties, members of the Columbus, Kansas Fire Department and Cherokee County Sheriff's Office spent yesterday and today making sure residents stay safe during this extremely cold weather. You'll learn how coming up.
Elected officials are now debating if African American descendants of slaves should get financial compensation for their suffering. I'm Kevin Cork in Washington with the latest on reparations. That's coming up.
First responders in Cherokee County, Kansas spent the last 2 days making some special deliveries to county residents and making sure they were staying safe during the dangerously cold weather. KOAM's Mike Mahoney spoke with Cherokee County Sheriff and Columbus, Kansas Fire Chief to learn more.
Thursday's sunshine made things a little less stressful in Cherokee County, Kansas, but that didn't stop the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office or the Columbus, Kansas Fire Department from doing the same thing they did yesterday, making food and blanket deliveries to county residents and checking to make sure they are surviving the cold.
This past week, we've had a combination of a lot of things. Severe weather, people not able to get to work, which means no income coming in. They've got kids at home that are eating that maybe would otherwise be eating at school. So it's just an additional burden on families that hopefully we were able to alleviate.
The Sheriff's Office was able to provide food deliveries thanks to donations from county residents and businesses. And the Columbus Fire Department was able to deliver fleece blankets thanks to a partnership with local charity Dream Big Little One.
We're looking to make this a county-wide effort. We have plenty of departments in our county that will help out with this, as well as our Sheriff Department. They'll help deliver them out in the county if needed. So anybody that lives in Cherokee County, if they're in need of a blanket, reach out to us and we'll make it happen.
Protecting the people of Cherokee County is what these departments are here for. But efforts like this show they do a lot more than just respond to crimes and fires.
Being in law enforcement, serving the community isn't always about enforcing the law and responding to calls. Certainly that's a component of it, but actually providing a service to the community, helping out however we can.
Fire departments all over the world are known more than just firefighters nowadays. You know, we're just trying to be a positive impact in our community, and anything we can do to make a greater impact, you know, you can bet we're going to be there doing it.
In Cherokee County, Kansas, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
Tess Watson, founder of Dream Big Little One, the charity which provided the blankets, issued a statement on the partnership. She says, quote, "I believe anytime agencies can work partner together, it's a win-win for the community. We were gifted these blankets from an anonymous donor in Pittsburgh this past summer and had enough to pass along to others who could use them. It's all about coming together and being part of a solution." Some kids in Carl Junction took advantage of the snow-covered ground to brighten the days of residents at a retirement community. The kiddos went to the Carl Junction Residential Care Facility and used food coloring to decorate the snow. Isn't that cool? An organizer said it was a great lesson for the kids.
I do think it's a great way to teach them to give back and to help others and to think about others and not just themselves.
As we were seeing, the kids decorated the snow by putting food coloring in water bottles. All right, take a good look at this. Police in Miami, Oklahoma are asking for help locating the person in this video and another suspect for that matter. Workers with the Boys and Girls Club of Ottawa County say the catalytic converter of one of their vans was stolen. Take a good look, okay? Anyone with information about what happened or the location of the people involved should call police. Elected officials are working to address America's history of slavery, debating the government's role in whether families with enslaved ancestors should be paid for its lasting impacts. As the discussion heats up, the White House cautiously weighs in. Fox News correspondent Kevin Cork has more on this and how a bill to research reparations is now gaining traction.
Reparations is about undoing structures of racial injustice that are a result of legacies of enslavement.
Should African American descendants of slaves get financial compensation? More government officials are now saying the answer is yes. Representatives in Congress are meeting to discuss how to make reparations a reality.
We need a reckoning, a healing, reparative justice. We need to bring our nation together.
Texas Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee is leading the charge. Her bill, H.R. 40, recommends studying the impact slavery has had on African American families in the U.S. It would also examine how the federal government can assist with economic disparities resulting from decades of discrimination. Meanwhile, the Biden administration acknowledges the growing reparations movement.
He's supported a study of reparations, which I believe is what's being discussed,
but remains hesitant to commit to any future actions.
We don't need a study to take action right now on systemic racism.
Some elected officials, even ones who are descendants of slaves, think reparations are counterproductive.
It is impractical and a non-starter for the United States government to pay reparations. It is also unfair and heartless to give Black Americans the hope that this is a reality.
This comes as a new Harvard Medical School study analyzed health data from Louisiana, and it found reparation payments made before the pandemic could have actually helped to decrease the wealth gap, driving down rates of COVID-19 in Black communities by nearly 70%. In Washington, I'm Kevin Cork, Fox News.
A bit later, another successful landing in outer space.
It was the riskiest rover landing on Mars ever. I'm Lauren Blanchard with more on Perseverance's mission across space.
Well, it turned out to be a cold day for us today. As we all know, temperatures really struggled for us to warm up during the daytime hours for us today. And it looks like as we go into the overnight hours, another very cold night, but we are going to start to see some improvements over the next couple days. Great shot. This is Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, of course, Indigo, just outside of Seneca, Missouri. Looks cold. It is cold, but we are going to see some improvements. Fog tonight, but near freezing tomorrow. We are going to have some rain chances on Sunday. Of course, you can get my long-range forecast on my month-long blog, KOAMnewsnow.com. Look at this cold spell. I mean, it's just crazy. We can go back to Saturday, February 6th. So this is Super Bowl weekend, which actually kind of feels like a long time ago now. Since that point in time, the Super Bowl, we've been below freezing. We have had ice. We've had a total of 11.5 inches of snow and about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch of ice with all the ice that we saw last week. So it's been a crazy stretch, but this is going to be the only stretch like this that we're going to have this winter, thankfully. Temperature is very cold for us tonight. Most of us right now about 10 to 13, 14 degrees, and everybody is very cold across the region. We do have clear skies. I think we'll see some patchy fog as we head through the overnight hours, just due to the snow on the ground, the moisture on the ground. So if you are going to be on the roadways, watch out for that, as that can lower visibilities. But the Arctic air, we have this trough across the Central Plains. It's retreating. So finally, we're going to get rid of this Arctic air, and then we'll watch our next storm system, which is moving in to the Pacific Northwest, and that will start to affect us Saturday night and into Sunday. Tonight, though, super cold again. Make sure the faucets are dripping. Temperatures down to about 2, maybe 3 degrees if we're lucky, but near zero, so a bitterly cold night again, mainly due to that snowpack on the ground. Tomorrow, partly sunny skies, a little bit better. We get into the lower 30s, 2 to start, 24 by noon, high temp right around 32 during the afternoon. Tomorrow night, pretty much clear skies, not as cold. We drop back into the teens, and then as we head into Saturday, even better. We continue to melt the snow off, partly sunny skies, high temps near 40. Saturday night, clouds will start to increase, and we'll get some showers in here on Sunday. They're going to be light showers that could even mix with a flake or two of snow during the afternoon. Temperatures cooler as we go into Sunday, but we are going to get some showers instead of some snow, which is kind of good news. But it stays cool Sunday and Monday. You can see Tuesday is a mild day. We'll actually press 60 degrees. We cool right back down Wednesday and Thursday of next week. We'll have rain chances, maybe mixing with some snow by Thursday. But it doesn't look like a huge system, but something we'll keep our eyes on, then staying pretty cool for the end of the month and the first week of March. Cold tonight, down to 3, 32 tomorrow, 40 Saturday, 41 on Sunday, and then we climb near 60 by Tuesday.
Definitely can see light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, thankfully, because we need to get out of the deep freeze.
Yeah, we do. Doug, thank you. Coming up in sports, Columbus girls wrestling continues to gain momentum in year 2 of the program. Plus, Pitt State volleyball prepares for its first match in more than a year. Jacob Leonard joins us with details next.
This year is the second year for state-sanctioned girls high school wrestling in Kansas. At Columbus High School, year 2 has come with an increase in both numbers and success. Danny Terzer has the story.
The girls wrestling team at Columbus High School has doubled in size between its first year of existence and its second, and they're still looking to grow.
Girls just really don't know what this sport is about. They know, oh, it's a guy thing. So really just, being in contact with everybody around the school and hopefully like advertising it on social media and just showing girls what it's actually about and that it's not as scary as it looks.
Most of the girls don't have a lot of prior experience, but they're fast learners and have found quick success.
We're pretty green as far as their knowledge. We don't have any girls that started wrestling when they were 6, 7 years old, so we're kind of really starting from scratch, and it's good.
This year, the Columbus girls won their district and were runners-up at regionals. 5 girls qualified to compete in sub-state this weekend.
They pick up faster like sponges, man, and they don't have any bad habits because of that. And they're very coachable, and they have that passion.
Simply put, the program is taking off.
That just really shows a lot about our school and about our coaches and our community. You know, they're all out there supporting us, and you know, we're taking that support and we're going in and we're getting results out of it.
No matter how the season finishes out, the girls are proud of how much they've already achieved.
I might not go out and I might not win sub-state, I might not even make it to state, but just, you know, doing as well as I've done and encouraging the girls around me to do as well as they've done, and hopefully we can place as a team, that's just what keeps us going.
We're all really hard workers and we all just are really passionate for it and just kind of want to prove to people what we can do.
In Columbus, Danny Terzer, KOAM Sports.
The Columbus girls will wrestle in sub-state at Anderson County High School tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. Well, it's been a long time since the Pittsburgh State volleyball team has been on the floor. 455 days since their last match, to be exact. But this weekend, that long wait is finally over. February is normally off-season training time for Pitt State volleyball.
This would be the time of the year where we're working on individually getting better and then, you know, putting it together later in March.
Instead,
Game speed, let's go, kind of make your movements.
The Gorillas are preparing for their first match in more than a year.
We are excited. It's kind of a new feeling again.
We've been anticipating this for so long that it's kind of like we're finally going to get to show people what we've been working so long on.
Pitt State's fall season was canceled in 2020 due to the pandemic. Instead, they'll play 14 matches this spring, beginning with 2 on Saturday.
We're going to play, and it might not be for a conference tournament or any of that stuff, but it's still worthwhile and it's helping us get stronger and better every day.
We'll take whatever we can get. It's odd to feel, you know, to get to play in February, but like I said, we don't care. We're ready to play. I'm ready to see somebody else. You still got to work to close that. Here we go.
The Gorillas will use their spring schedule to compete and see what they have heading into fall.
There's nothing wrong with getting some of these new kids and the young ones some experience. If we aren't going to go game speed, it's not going to work on Saturday. I want to kind of gauge where we're at.
And although it will be a quick turnaround to fall 2021, it may be a blessing in disguise for PSU.
It could just be the opportunity for us now to kind of see what works and then solidify that and keep working on it to where we come back in August, short turnaround, it's like, hey, you can't forget what we just did.
It'll be really good to get a sort of cohesiveness going with the same people because we're not going to be losing anyone and we'll all be coming back next year, so we'll be more comfortable playing with each other.
Maybe it won't hurt us, maybe it'll be great and move on, but we'll see.
Pitt State will play 2 matches at home on Saturday. The Gorillas play Washburn at 10 a.m. and Northwest Missouri State at 6:30. That's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Today, NASA pulled off a historic feat, landing the biggest rover yet on Mars. The landing came after a tense 7 minutes where scientists could only hope the calculations they made were correct. Fox's Lauren Blanchard has more on the landing and how we will likely get the clearest pictures of Mars yet.
Perseverance safely on the surface of Mars.
That's the sound of success after nearly a decade of work and 7 minutes of terror. NASA's Perseverance, the largest, most complex rover yet, landing on Mars after a 7-month journey through space.
Touchdown confirmed.
Hundreds of scientists at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California, celebrating the 9th and riskiest rover landing ever.
We've been thinking about entry, descent, and landing for probably every workday over the last 8 or 9 years.
Just before 4 p.m. Eastern Time, the 12 cameras on board giving scientists a fuzzy look at the red planet. And soon, for the first time, we'll be able to hear what it sounds like on Mars thanks to 2 microphones.
Totally new human sense to Mars. Just close your eyes and hear Mars. Can you imagine that?
NASA's Dr. Thomas Zurbuchen says over the next days, the rover will send back the full video of its autonomous landing, better quality photos, and then over the next couple of years, it will collect samples of rocks. Scientists believe the Jezero crater the rover landed in may have signs of extinct fossil life.
Our job is to not only do it because of science, but to inspire the whole nation. We want everybody to really feel proud of the amazing things we can do.
NASA is now trying to figure out how to get those samples home to Earth, maybe next decade.
31, if everything goes exactly like we hoped, we have the samples in our labs.
Perseverance's mission cost about $3 billion. It took thousands of scientists working together, and Zurbuchen hopes it will inspire kids to dream big. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
When we come back and check out this week's list of new movies now available on DVD, also on demand. This week's look at new movies includes dramas and dark comedy, and all are nominated for big honors already. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
Sometimes call you nomads.
Another week where we have some award season contender films that are out, starting with Nomad Land.
This might be even our best picture frontrunner at this moment in time. It's a gorgeous film directed by Chloe Zhao that's sort of about letting go in order to hold on. It stars Frances McDormand as a woman who loses everything during the 2008 financial crisis. She decides to try life on the road, to become a van-dwelling nomad, traveling across the American West.
Nomad Land is in theaters and on Hulu.
You want to represent the head recruiter for 9/11.
The Mauritanian is in theaters. Jodie Foster and Tahar Rahim earned Golden Globe nominations for their roles.
Tahar Rahim plays a real-life man, Mohamedou Aloud Salahi, and this is a guy who was ripped out of his life in the Middle East. He was put into Guantanamo Bay, accused of having something to do with 9/11, of being a major contributor to plotting 9/11. A defense attorney gets wind of his case and who he is, and she decides to defend him.
You have to come with me. Netflix adds I Care a Lot with Globe nominee Rosamund Pike.
She forces them into the home, auctions off their house.
She positions herself as a woman who can become a legal guardian for an elderly person who can no longer look after their finances. Of course, she swoops in and drains them of their finances. She's very good at what she does until she rubs up against an elderly woman who maybe she bit off more than she can chew.
And these join many fellow nominees now screening. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you with video of Italy's Mount Etna, which has had spurts of volcanic activity now for the last few weeks. Be safe. Don't go anywhere near Mount Etna for the time being anyway. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.